Good day, everyone. Meteorologist Mark Muller here. How's everybody getting along? Well, one thing in the weather pattern, it's going to go quiet here for about 6 or 7 days, but watch as we go into next week. There has something that actually caught my eye here, and if we take a look at it, we'll skip right to about February 1st. Yeah, you're starting to see something show up here up towards Hudson Bay. I don't know if your eye's actually drawn to that or not, but take a look at that. Here it is. This is that big upper level low here. We have the southern stream branch coming up across the southeast parts of Texas, and then the northern stream branch is trying to come down like this across parts of the Great Lakes in the northeast. Now, let's take a look and see, as we go out in time here, will this come together like the Euro is potentially indicating here? Well, you see Wednesday here, we got the southern stream branch, northern stream branch. Now, watch as we go out in time here. We're going to actually have a southern stream branch really come together to produce a potential storm here. You can see, take a look at this. Comes across, racing across the southeast Friday. This is Saturday, February 4th. And look at that. It tries to make a run up the east coast. Is this something that's plausible? Or is the Euro just catching on to some, sort of entity here that's not going to materialize? If this does come together just right, though, we could actually see areas that haven't been impacted yet by snowfall here across the northeast. So please stay tuned. Let's get into it. And here it is, brief sneak preview. Saturday, February 5th. Don't read too much into this, but could this materialize? Let's take a look at all the factors. Now, one thing I wanted to show you what's going on later, right into the 1st of February here, the 3rd of February, here it is. Now, see, as we get that East Coast system potentially cranking here according to the Euro, look what's coming in behind it here. This is a big old trough coming down from central North America. So what's going to end up happening here is this could help potentially energize this East Coast storm too. So it's all about timing here. You can see this could potentially be the Euro hinting that this may be the big storm. Usually you have to get a big storm to get a big pattern change, and this may just be it here for the East Coast. All right, so let's take a look at 500 millibar flow. Most of you know that I just love this product. It really gives you a good idea what's going on at 500 millibars, way up where the weather starts and materializes. There's that ridge across the east. There it is, the 30th of January. But as we go out in time, you're going to start to notice there's two areas. This upper level low across north central Canada, and this big old low here across southern California. Watch what happens here as we go through Thursday into Friday, February 3rd. Yes, we have this upper level low across the northeast Canada here. There's our key system here. Now look at this trough kicking in behind it. It's all about timing and energy. That trough behind this system for the 4th and the 5th of February, if this materializes, it could help energize the system enough along the U.S. East Coast to give us a decent snowstorm, at least for this year's standards. So definitely something really to keep an eye on here. All right, so here we go. We're slipping through the weekend here. This is basically a non-existent Alberta clipper initially because it's going to go way up into Canada. High pressure builds here across the southeast, and look at this, Intermountain West snow. Let's watch as we continue to go here towards the interesting week later next week. But look at this. We have to get through another Colorado low. Yeah, you know the drill. Low pressure is going to head up across the southeast or parts of the mid-Mississippi River Valley. We're going to have a potential severe weather outbreak coming into early next week, so keep an eye on that. And accumulating snow there into parts from Chicago over to Detroit. Watch how that low heads right up through the northeast, but doesn't produce much, if any, snow. But look at the southeast here. Yeah, we're going to have a problem, especially right along the Gulf Coast area. This region will see a significant amount of severe weather Monday. And then look at how that slides off the East Coast. There are two pieces of energy that are not going to come together here. All right, so let's take a look and see where we left off here. We're slipping over to the 12Z so we can go out a little bit farther. So here it is. This is the first pattern here. You got these two systems, northern branch, southern branch. They do not phase. This northern branch stays light snow, especially northern New England. Now watch how that coastal low just pinwheels out to sea. We have a series of low-pressure systems that are going to come out of the southeast here. First one kind of slides right off the coast like this. We're actually going to potentially see some wet snowflakes in parts of Virginia like you saw like I will show you here momentarily on the GFS. I know everybody does not like the GFS, but we'll take a look at it just to get a good idea. But look at this. As we go in time here, Thursday the 2nd here. Take a look at this. This is our next system. This is the one that could be potentially promising. I use the word potential because things can really change. Here's that next system out west. And let's go in time here to see if this system could become anything major. Here it is Saturday. Early Saturday morning, just before sunrise. You have the first low-pressure system here coming right up the Mississippi Valley. That does not favor East Coast snowstorm. However, look at this 1037 millibar high. And you start to see some potential pressure falls here along the Carolinas. Let's see what this European model does with this. You start to see a primary low take effect right around Virginia. And if this were to happen, things were definitely even start as snow in the big cities of the Northeast. Now, whether we transition over to a mix depends on the exact track of this low pressure system. Take a look what's back here, too. This kind of piques my eye because if this were to move just a little bit faster, it could actually energize this even more and pull it even farther to the north. Now, I know many people along the coast would not want to see something like that because it would bring in more warm air. However, it would potentially energize this a bit more. So we'll have to watch and see how this plays out. But look at that. Right now as it stands, I would not look at any 1 or 2 frames of this, but look at that. That would actually produce a big snowstorm here across much of the Northeast right around Saturday and Sunday, the 4th and 5th of February. And just take a look at these last 2 frames, 980 or 990 millibars. Look at this. This Euro run does keep snow in New York City over to Boston. This is rather interesting. Not to say this is going to happen. I mean, we're looking literally, if you look at how far we're looking out here, this is 234 hours. The margin of error is significant. But look at this. Yeah, you'd be looking at a pretty strong low pressure system somewhere along the East Coast if this pattern holds. All right, so as we take a look at snowfall here, it's not looking much, across parts of the lakes. The snow belt areas, you'll see a couple inches. But here across the Intermountain West into parts of the plains, this is the big winner as we go through the weekend. And look at that, into parts of the Northeast, we actually get some snow kicking up here across the North Country from just north of Chicago, Detroit, over to parts of northern New York and northern New England. Now, as we go out in time here, that just solidifies more with that next system. But watch this. I want to show you. We start to get that evidence, later Wednesday into Thursday. Look what starts to form here right along the Appalachians into parts of the Mid-Atlantic. Yeah, if that holds true, that's what you could be looking forward to. And those are snowfall accumulations into New York City, too, as well. Let's zoom in. All right, so as we go out in time here across the Northeast, this takes us through the weekend. You can see the snowballed areas here. Parts of northern Detroit here could get upwards of 4 to 5 inches of snow. Cleveland around 2 inches, 4 inches around Buffalo, 2 inches around Erie. So let's go out and continue in time here. Take a look at this. So this just re-solidifies that system next week. Oop, let's go backwards here. There we go. So that next system, it seems like the rich are going to get richer up here. Yeah, the North Country here, snowbelt areas into northern New England just continue getting pelted. But look at this as we go through next Saturday, the 5th of February. Don't read too much into this, but if this storm does form, look at these snowfall accumulations, and this is just the beginning of that storm. This is something very interesting that we will keep an eye on here because this could potentially materialize into something, especially with the pattern we're seeing there. All right, so I wanted to show you the European model here across North America temperature-wise because there is some very cold air bottled up here into northern Canada. Let's take a look as we go out in time here. Here is Saturday into Sunday. Yeah, you're getting warm across Texas and parts of the southeast here. Look at, as you're getting warmer, the northern plains in Canada are getting colder. I mean, these temperatures up here are in the single digits, and then we get into the darker purples and even some of these fuchsia and lighter colors. We're actually getting close to 20 below up here. So it's pretty cold. And look at how that expands south on Sunday. Monday the 30th. Yeah, you still see there's that firecracker ridge here across parts of the east, keeping us in the 50s, the 60s, and the 70s. Now, keep in mind, this temperature bar down here is in Celsius. So, you're going from the 50s here into parts of the yellow and to orange in the 60s. 70s are closer to the orange here, 20 degrees Celsius on northward here. But take a look at this. Yeah, you start to really see this cold air just blasting south across the continent here. This is Friday the 3rd. Yeah, this upper level low across Canada could help propel the Northeast here into some much colder temperatures, which in turn would be cold enough for snow. And that's why I wanted to show you this product, this version of the temperature product. You can really see, behind it, it does, you get a little bit of a surge of warmth. But this, even here, if you look, 0 degrees Celsius, that's 32. Look at how far south this is. That is the 32-degree line. So this would be cold enough for some snow. And look what would be forming behind it on this trough. This might be a big Arctic air blast that many of you have been waiting for, wondering what's going on. Take a look at this. Yeah. Much of northern and eastern North America, northeastern North America, is starting to get pretty cold by this time. All right, so let's just run through the GFS really quick. I know a lot of you are not a big fan of the GFS, me included. But, it's really good to get a look at other models. Let's take a look. We'll just take a generalized view here, Saturday into Sunday. Yeah, this is where we get into the Northeast. We're going to see that overrunning precipitation. Initially, maybe a few wet snowflakes Sunday morning, but that quickly changes over to rain most areas except for northern New England. That pulls out for Monday. Look at this. We get a little bit of a lake response there, but look at this across the Southeast. We're going to be seeing a lot of severe weather, I fear, next week here across parts of the Southeast with that ridge, you're around the periphery of that ridge. And look at this. Yeah, you're going to start to see, this is interesting because you're going to really start to see winter. Let's get our pencil here. Take a look at this. Cold air on the northern side of this. Somewhere down south here, you're going to be seeing severe thunderstorms. That's usually what happens. Within 100 miles or two, you end up seeing those strong to severe thunderstorms. Now, let's see. The GFS kind of keeps this more of an open wave. This is interesting, though. This is right where the Euro has, of course, the GFS, I'll show you, slides this off to the north. But look at this. Both the GFS and the Euro have something in common. This would definitely mean snowfall in parts of Virginia Beach, Richmond, up to Salisbury. Definitely something to keep an eye on here. But the GFS does not make a run up the coast, but it does end it as wet snowflakes here across parts of the Southeast. Look at that. That is interesting. And look, just back that up there. Look at that. Yeah, that's developing way up in the Canadian Maritimes. We see another clipper move through Sunday, February 5th. And look at that across the east. Another rainstorm. These systems that come out, these Colorado lows that eject like this, they're just nothing but bad news for snow lovers here across parts of the east. But let's continue through our timeline here. Yeah, there's nothing that majorly interesting here on the GFS. All right, your HRRR Future Radar. Let's take us through at least the next 48 hours or so here. So as we go out in time, yeah, we're going to be dealing with some very minor systems here. There is a system here across the northern plains, that bears watching. It will feature, it's kind of like an Alberta clipper. It'll feature some heavy snow right along the front. As we go down through the Great Lakes here, we're going to see some scattered snow showers, lake effect snow kicking in here across parts of Lake Erie, Lake Ontario, south of Buffalo, and south of Erie here. This takes us 8 p.m. Thursday, so take a look at that. So yeah, as we go out in time, we'll be getting these lake effect streamers setting right up behind that system departing in the northeast. And then we got another system here coming across the Intermountain West. You can see how that just plummets here into Seattle, but it kind of skips here across the Cascades, and then we start to see a big generalized area of snowfall here across the northern Rocky Mountains. Now, as we go out in time here, let's see what this implications are here. Friday into the 27th here across the Northeast. It's actually not looking too bad. If you're getting out there for your second weekend of lunar Chinese New Year here, get out there and enjoy. It's actually looking pretty mild and pretty clear for the most part as we head into the weekend. Now look what's lurking off your screen here. This is Friday into Saturday morning, 2 a.m. Yes, we have our next frontal boundary trying to push in, and that will mean some scattered snow showers moving into the area, 5 a.m. Saturday, 7 a.m. Saturday here. So that kind of just, most of the energy by this point lifts up towards the St. Lawrence up to Quebec. And as you can see here, that pulls to the northeast, and then we have another system behind it that resembles our Alberta clipper here, and we'll probably see a couple inches out of this as well from just north of Chicago over to Detroit, Michigan, And take a look at that. This could be the beginning here of some severe weather across parts of the southeast. This is Saturday, 1 p.m., our last frame here. So as we go, my guess Saturday night, Sunday, we might need to be watching this area here for potential severe weather. And look at this, another system moving into the west. All right, so let's take a look at total precipitation here. Takes us through the weekend. We're not really going to see much, through the weekend, but look at this as we get into parts of the southeast. This is where we're going to really start to ramp up the heavy rain and thunderstorms, especially within 100 or 200 miles of the Gulf Coast here. We're going to see some severe weather, especially later Sunday, Monday, and into parts early Tuesday. Now, across parts of the lakes here, you can see this Alberta Clipper type system does head to the north, as well as this next Colorado low. You can see a lot of that falling from the Colorado low and behind it as the lake response kicks in later Monday and Tuesday. But look at that. Yeah, most of the weather we're going to see, here it is. You can take a look at that. That's actually through next weekend. That's interesting because a lot of that could fall as frozen according to the Euro. Look at this. This is a big old mess here across the southeast, and I think we'll see 2 or 3 significant severe weather outbreaks next week. All right, so I wanted to show you the polar vortex briefly here. You can see initially it actually looks like we're having a cold air shot here from the polar vortex, but you kind of want to be on the eastern side of it so you get pieces of it that breaks off. It's actually not, it's kind of consolidating into a central cell through the rest of January here. This is January 31st. It goes way over here into northern Europe and Asia. Look at this. A complete lack of the polar vortex. But watch what happens here. As we head through February 4th here, February 5th, it tries to pinwheel over the pole here. Very little effect. So we're not going to be able to rely too much on the polar vortex, at least through the first half of February here. We start to see evidence that maybe something of a second cell is trying to develop here over North America, but I'm not buying it because the centralized cell is right over northern Europe and Asia. All right, so taking a look at the tropical Atlantic here, it's not really tropical. It's actually really nice. Take a look at this. Yep, those trade winds, lower humidity, and look at that. It's interesting. We have a little feature down here in Central America, but at this time of year, we don't have to really worry about little, if any, development. And look at that. Across the rest of the Atlantic, you are looking A-OK here through Saturday, February 11th. All right, so let's go out here to the Western Pacific. This is where the action is, especially with the, I'd call it monsoon-type rains. Take a look at this. As we head through Thursday, we're going to be dealing with rainfall here across the Philippines, especially across the central and northern Philippines. Look at that. As we go towards the weekend, this is your second weekend of Lunar New Year. And if you're celebrating it, this off your screen here is not the thing to be looking forward to for this weekend, because this is 1 p.m. on Saturday. Take a look at this as we head towards, this is the middle of the night, so Saturday night, early Sunday morning. You're going to be seeing some heavy rain move into the area. Look at this. Yeah, this is not looking good. Potential flooding. Would not be surprised if you see over 100 millimeters of rain out of this. Now look at this. Monday, 10 a.m., we start to finally clear things out here. Now, as we take a look at the big picture here, that kind of slips off towards southern Vietnam here. And look at this. We have a interesting feature here well south of the Philippines by this point. But watch this as we go in time. Will we actually see a dry week across much of the Philippines? It's actually looking like it. Look at Friday, February 3rd, Saturday, February 4th. It's not until the 6th, February 6th. Look at this big old blob of moisture down here. This spells trouble. At least you'll have almost a week to dry out, which is great news. But look at, once it moves in, Wednesday the 8th, finally, then we start to see another clearing trend here. So take a look at that. The intertropical convergence zone really sinks to the south, and we might actually see a good week or two here where we actually get some clear weather across the Philippines. And Derek Rentschler from Lebanon County, Pennsylvania, a nice shot at some snow. He finally got 1 to 2 inches of snow. Look at that coming down. This was on the 25th. He said, thankfully, it did not turn to rain, which he was really happy about. And I bet he was because, this winter has been pretty non-existent across his area of Pennsylvania. But look at that. He's finally getting some snow here, building a nice, wonderful snowman here as well. It's that really packable snow you can really pack. And take a look at that. Yeah, there it is. Those are some very nice captures there, Derek. All right, so let's take a look at temperature-wise here. This is for your Friday. Look at this. It's looking pretty mild here across Texas into the 50s and the 60s, but watch this as we go in time here. You can see Saturday, The surge of warm air continues, but you look at this. That is cold air, single digits and below zero. When you start to see temperature differences like this is where you're going to get some severe weather across parts of the southeast. And watch as we go on time. There's Sunday. Yeah, the bottom is falling out here. Lots of temperatures heading south here. Look at this, 70s and 60s blossoming their way northeastward, even into the northeast here. 40s getting their way up into parts of the area. Let's take a look at that there. Sunday again. And into Monday. Look at this. This is what I'm talking about. See these temperature differences? You go from below zero to 70s along the Gulf Coast. This is going to spell some trouble in the form of severe weather and even some wintry precipitation. Extended outlook from hometown viewers. Binghamton to Scranton's Upper Susquehanna River Valley of New York and Pennsylvania. Take a look at this. Friday, we'll have some scattered snow showers, maybe from the lakes, up towards 36. No accumulation expected. Into Saturday, up towards 41. Ahead of the next system for Sunday, you might see a wet snowy start, but quickly changing to rain, a quarter of inch, 44 degrees. Look at this, though. When Monday and Tuesday, we really start to cool things down, that next front moving in. This potentially may set us up later next week for that winter storm. Stay tuned. Thanks for joining me for this edition of MeteoMark's Weather Northeastern and Weather Eastern. Don't forget Facebook MeteoMark, Weather Northeastern. Also, Hurricane Northeastern at Susquehanna Weather for my local page. And guess what? MeteoMark.com, WeatherNortheastern.com is Twitter at Weather Eastern. Don't forget, question or comment down below. Smash that like button, subscribe, hit that notification bell button, share the video. And thanks for joining me.